Not all Supreme Court case law is law. Some of it's just kind of them rambling, and we're going to talk about it. I'm Brian. I make videos about law and civics. Please share this, comment, post, do all the stuff you got to do to get this out there because this is important stuff and you should know it. This is a case. Some of you might call it a bullseye. Now, right here in the middle of the bullseye is what we call the ratio decidendi. That's probably close to spelled right. Or basically, reason this case was decided. Rationale for deciding. And as part of the court's opinion, they're going to tell you why, when this set of facts happened, this was the decision they made. And if this set of facts comes up again, this is the decision that the courts below them have to make. That is the law going forward. But what happens if a slightly different set of facts comes along? What if this is a case about buying stocks in an oil company and a case comes along which is about buying stocks in a toy company? Those two are probably pretty similar, but you're going to have to look at the facts in the new case and see whether the reason they decided that case was the same as your case. In other words, whether it matches the ratio decidendi. But here's the thing. Sometimes the Supreme Court likes to ramble. So they'll say things like, even though in this case this happened and we decided this, if something else were to happen, maybe we'd decide differently. Or if something way different were to happen, maybe we wouldn't decide differently. They may get further and further from the bullseye, and we call that dicta. Dicta is when the Supreme Court rambles on about what they may have decided if the facts had been different, but they didn't. Dicta is not law, but it's a pretty good suggestion about the way they would rule if it ever came up to them again. So sometimes we might present dicta to lower court judges and say, hey, I know the Supreme Court said this isn't the case here, but they sort of suggested that they would have gone this way if it had come along, so maybe you want to go that way? And the lower court judge might agree, or they might not. They don't have to, but they can. The further the dicta gets away from the ratio decidendi, the less likely a lower court judge is to follow it. But some pieces of dicta are like legendary, because 20 years later, the court may totally flip something on its head, and we can point back to the dicta where they were like, we're going to do this someday. And we're like, oh, it was coming. And so that piece of dicta becomes like kind of magic and becomes the thing that we all look at because it was the thing where they gave away the ending. So the next time you read a Supreme Court case, see whether what they're talking about is actually in line with the facts of the case they're talking about, or if they're sort of rambling off into dicta. Because as they ramble, it becomes less and less binding on lower courts. Thanks for watching, guys. I want to say a particular thank you to the people who have been sending me coffee and going to my Amazon wish list. I really appreciate it. If you would like to support me, there are ways to do it in my link tree. Thank you very much, guys.